Welcome to Inspired Body by Belle. I'm your host, Joyce Belle, LPN. We are excited. This is our first broadcast on health, wellness, and fitness, and we want to help anyone who wants to become healthier because I believe everybody deserves to have the body and life they love. Now, if you haven't done so already, download the app and tune in on Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. on Beat Break 87 FM. Make sure you go to www.inspiredbodybybelle.com to check out the blogs. I've got some valuable tips, and you can follow my lifetime journey on Instagram at Inspired Body by Belle. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for the recorded podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm super excited. This is week number 3. We've been talking about the heart. 5 ways to show your heart love, and it's so appropriate. It is February. This is the month of love. We all know that February 14th, the tradition is to show love to others and give them cards and gifts and chocolates. But you know what? A lot of times we don't just turn around and give ourselves a big old hug and squeeze and show our heart love. So, here I come to the rescue, and I've got some tips for you. But before I start the podcast, I want to share an update. We got this update just recently. It's a national update on the flu status. It is rising. The flu season has not ceased. As a matter of fact, the number of illnesses throughout the country is horrendous. Please go to your local CDCs. We are here in Atlanta. We've got a CDC downtown Atlanta, and then we also, not downtown, but Claremont Road in Atlanta, and then we also have the one on Buford Highway. It is important. Please do your research. Become informed. The flu vaccine does not give you the flu virus. It's designed to help your body create the antibodies it needs to protect you from the flu virus. Many times, because your body is already compromised, your immune system is already compromised, it coincidentally responds with the vaccine. You have malaise, you have fatigue, congestion, my head is hurting, I'm so stuffy, and it's misconstrued as the flu. The truth is, many of these symptoms are just the body's response to the antibodies, and you do not have the flu. If you've gone to the doctor and they've done a swab, more than likely you don't have the flu, but you've got the symptoms that could be very overbearing. So, we're talking about clogged noses. We've got drainage in the back of the throat. You've got congestion in the chest. We suggest things that you can get over the counter. Typically, you can use some Mucinex to help break up the cold and bring it up. We've always got the good old Vicks rub. Me personally, I rub it on my chest, on my nose, my feet. I rub it everywhere. It kind of opens up the passages so that you can breathe. Of course, you know you'll drink plenty of water. They always say vitamin C. I love chicken noodle soup. And get your body some rest. Stop, I don't feel good, but you out in the club, you out hanging out, you're doing this and you're doing that. When you feel sick, that's your body saying, I need to relax so I can heal. Okay? I'm just trying to remind you, the flu is necessary. I know Mama May, Sister May, Daddy May have gotten the flu shot and gotten sick and they almost died. I understand that. I'm just saying, please do the research. There are numerous of people dying across the United States because they have contacted the flu. And one more thing, remember, it's still considered winter outside, even though we can get numbers as close to 80 degrees. Please keep those legs covered up. Don't let the warm weather deceive you. It's still winter. Please wear your long sleeves. Please wear your long pants. No, I'm not saying wearing a full coat fur. I'm saying, just remember, really, it's, it is still winter. Dress accordingly. Protect your body and protect your community around you. Our final and third segment is what to expect from your heart if you stay active. And this is, of course, my favorite segment because I'm a cardiology nurse. I've been nursing for 17, 18 years, but cardiology is my favorite. So let's talk about the heart. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the heart and how important it is. So the heart is a muscle. It has 4 chambers, and of course it has 4 valves. The top of the heart is called the atria, and beneath that are the ventricles. In the atria you have the right and the left, and in the ventricles you have the right and the left. The valves that separate both the atria and the ventricles are called atrioventricular valves. 2 of them are the tricuspid, which is on the right, and the mitral valve, which is on the left. The valves at the ventricular outlet are called semilunar valves, and these are 2 valves that are called the pulmonary and the aortic valve. The aortic valve runs on the left side. The heart wall consists of 3 layers. You've got the outer layer, the middle layer, and the inner. So the outer layer is the epicardium, the middle layer is the myocardium, and the inner layer is the endocardium. Now, the outer layer and the inner layer, of course, they're thin layers. The middle layer is going to be a thicker layer, which is the bulk of the heart, and that, of course, is made up of a lot of cardiac fibers. That layer around the entire heart is called the pericardium. So you've got the heart wall, you've got the outer, the inner, and you've got the outer, the inner, the middle, and then you've got the pericardium, which goes around the entire heart. Now, the vessels that carry the blood away from the heart to the body, those are called the arteries, which means that they're larger. And then the vessels that bring the blood back to the body are called the veins. Now, the largest artery is the aorta, and that is the vein that comes from the ventricle. Now, you may or may not know that your heart is actually a pump. Yes, it's a pump. And this pump actually works with electrical conductivity, and that is actually how we read what your rhythm and your rate is. It's an electrical system that is going to transmit cardiac impulses, and this is what helps the heart to beat. Okay, now that we know why should we stay active, now that we know how we can stay active, it's time to talk about what to expect from your heart if you stay active. All right, here we go. This is my favorite part. It's about the heart. I'm the cardiology nurse, so of course I'm going to love talking about the heart. Now, the heart is a muscle that has 4 chambers and it has 4 valves. The top of the heart is called the atria, and the bottom is the ventricles. You've got a right atria and you've got a left ventricle. You've got a right atria and a left atria. You've got a right ventricle and you've got a left ventricle. The valves that separate the atria and the ventricles are called atrioventricular valves. 2 of them are called, there are 2 of them. One is called the tricuspid and the other is called the mitral. The tricuspid is on the right. The mitral valve is on the left. Those valves are the ventricular outlets that are called semilunar valves, and these 2 are called the pulmonary and the aortic valve. So, of course, you probably heard of these valves, but not know what exactly is the function of the valve, and so that's what they are. Semilunar valves that are inside of the valves that already exist to help make sure that the blood flows in the right directions and the right channels. So the heart wall of the the heart has three layers. You've got the outer, which is the epicardium. You got the middle, which is the myocardium. You've got the inner, which is the endocardium. The outer and the inner, which is the epicardium and the endocardium, have thin layers. The middle layer, which is the myocardium, is called a pericardium because it also covers the outside of the heart. It's a thick, bulky material made up of cardiac fibers. And this is what covers the entire outside of the heart. It's called the pericardium. And the vessels that carry the blood away from the heart to the body are called the arteries, and the vessels that bring the blood back are called the veins. So the arteries will work with the atrium, and the veins will work with the ventricles. So the arteries, of course, are going to be pumping the most of the blood because they're larger, and the ventricles on the bottom will be using the veins because they're smaller. The largest artery is named the aorta. You've probably heard of that. Numerous of times the aorta is the largest one and it is most important. So if there's any issues going on at the aortic valve or in the aortic junction, you notice that a cardiologist is called in, a specialist is called in because we need someone that's going to really take control of the heart functionality. Not primary care physician, but someone who is specifically trained and educated in taking care of the heart. So you may or may not know that now you've got this heart, this beautiful heart with 4 chambers. You've got these valves that are opening and closing. But how does it all work? Well, your heart is actually a pump. Yeah, it really is. You got one, I got one. It's like on an Oprah show. You get a pump, I get a pump, she get a pump. We all have hearts, and they all are a pump. Now, it's like an electrical system that transmits cardiac impulses, and that helps the heart to pump. So, very much like when you have someone getting CPR and you shock them, it's like a shock, a jolt, to kind of get the heart quivering and getting it moving. And so if your heart is challenged because it's not getting enough oxygen or blood flow because you haven't given your body any exercise, then the heart is in trouble. And so I think the question should really be, what should your heart expect from you so it can stay active? The heart has a lot of work to do. I just named the valves and the chambers. I don't think you can even imagine what that looks like and what it would take to keep that functioning well enough so that you don't have swollen feet and ankles, so that you don't have that swelling feeling in your chest, so that you don't feel that you're overwhelmed when you lay further back because you can't breathe or you're being smothered because the heart is not functioning as it should. So I beg of you to understand that question really should be, what should your heart expect from you to stay active? Anyway, we've came through our 3 segments, and we are now coming up to our fun part of the day. It is called the tip of the day. Today's tip of the day: be conscious of what you put in your body. Remember, you are what you eat. The meal of the day is a chicken burrito bowl meal. I've got some ingredients I'm going to share for that, and I'm not going to even lie to you guys. I picked it off the web. My son is a chef. He does a bang-up job. It was great. So I want you to try it. I totally love quinoa. That is something that I've adapted to eating. It's really good in protein, and so it had quinoa in there, and I just jumped right all over it. 1 cup of quinoa, uncooked, 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, cutlets, boneless and skinless. You got 2.5 teaspoons of taco seasoning divided, a half tablespoon of salt, 14 ounces canned black beans, drained and rinsed. Let's see. You got 1.5 cup corns. The romaine lettuce is going to have to be substituted with whatever it is that you think you should do. I know here in Georgia we really don't have any romaine lettuce. We've got the salsa, Greek yogurt, cilantro, and lime, and use that for a garnish. And you got your avocado oil. The instructions for this is to cook the quinoa as per the package instructions. In the meanwhile, preheat a large ceramic non-stick skillet on medium heat and swirl a bit of oil to coat. Add the chicken cutlets. They should fit tight and sprinkle with a half tablespoon of salt and a half tablespoon of taco seasoning and cook for 5 to 7 minutes or until the sides turn white and the bottom is nicely browned. Flip, sprinkle with another half tablespoon of salt and a half tablespoon of taco seasoning and cook. Cook this for 5 minutes or until it's cooked through. Transfer to a cutting board to cool it off. Return the skillet to medium heat. Swirl a bit of oil to coat. Add the beans, corn, 1.5 tablespoons of taco seasoning, and a pinch of salt. Cook for 4 to 5 minutes, stirring it occasionally. Turn off the heat. Fluff the cooked quinoa with a fork. Slice the chicken. Shred the lettuce in 4 plastic or glass meal prep containers. Assemble the chicken burrito bowls by adding desired amount of quinoa to one side, lettuce on the other, chicken on top of the lettuce, bean corn mixture, a dollop of salsa and other desired garnishes. And of course, let's see. All right, here are the nutritional facts. It's 545 calories, which means you're going to go do an exercise directly after. It says that what you've got should serve about 4 people. You've got a total of 11.8 grams, which is 18% for fat. Cholesterol at 124.1 milligrams, which is 41%. Sodium, 660. That's quite a bit. Salty for me. 28%. And total carbohydrates, 656.8. Sugars at 4%, protein at 52%. Protein's not too bad. Vitamin A, C, just some variations of that. So there you have it. That is the meal of the day. I hope I didn't go too fast. Let me see if I can find out exactly where you can get it from. It looks like it's iFood Real. Go check it out. If you didn't catch all that I said, it's up there. And that's where I picked it from. You guys should know I am a supplemental freak. So I'm not a big chef in the kitchen. When I do my meal prep, it's bare bones. I don't eat for flavor. I eat for my body. We're going to move right along to the exercise of the day. The exercise of the day, of course, we've decided that any exercise we're going to discuss with you or talk about is going to be for a minute. So the exercise is the mountain climbers. With these exercises, I want you to really work at your own pace. Really pay attention to the positioning so that you don't hurt your back or your shoulders. And make sure you have fun with it. Don't make it a burden. If you can do 3 mountain climbers, make them the best 3 mountain climbers you ever seen in history. If you can do 1, make that 1 really good and then repeat that 1 5 times. Okay? I mean, it's really just come through with me, y'all. Do the exercise of the day. 1 minute, mountain climbers. Let's talk about it next weekend. The motivational quote is, courage is resistance to fear, a master of fear, not absence of fear. Courage is resistance to fear, master of fear, not absence of fear. I think that was... Gosh, I'm going to have to tell you what that is next week. I totally forgot. Shame on me. nonetheless, that was the motivational quote. Now, we've got the inspired humor, and you should know I'm really not funny. I'm not a comedian, but I do like to laugh at jokes. So I've got an inspired humor, and here it is.
So a ham sandwich walks into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve food here."
Did you get it? We don't serve food here. Okay. So, did you get it? Did you get it? Okay, well, I thought it was funny, and that's the kind of humor you're going to get from me. So, if you don't like it, skip that section. All right, so today's podcast is over, and for the recap, I'm just going to say you should have learned today about why you should stay active, what to expect from your heart if you stay active, and how to stay active. It was such a pleasure, so much fun sharing this information with you today and always. And if you missed this segment or last week's or any other, please go to Spotify, check me out at Health and Wellness with Joyce Bell, and don't forget to download the app Beat Break 87 FM. Tune in 24 hours with Beat Break, and at 4 to 5 p.m. on Saturdays for Inspired Body by Bell. Don't forget, visit my website, www.inspiredbodybybell.com. Check out the blogs there. They've got good information and tips. Follow my health journey on Instagram at Inspired Body by Bell. And don't forget, everybody deserves to have the body and life they love.
I want to thank you guys for listening into Health and Wellness and Fitness with Inspired Body by Bell. I'm your host, Joyce Bell. If you missed this segment, please check out our YouTube channel on YouTube, of course, at Inspired Body by Bell, and look for the podcast that we post. Please remember, everybody deserves to have the body and life they love, and I will see you again next Saturday, 4 to 5 p.m.